Hey guys, it's VT Art. This is gonna be my first video that isn't just an animatic. I've never done this before, just recording and having my art be on the screen while I drawing. But I'm excited because I feel like this is more aligned to what I want to do on this channel. Like, animatics are still gonna be kind of the big thing, I guess, but I definitely want to do like a lot of like art challenges and just redesigns and stuff and just showing my art and just talking. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this content, enjoy this video, and hopefully I can make more. So for this first redesign video, I'm going to be redesigning the Vampire Diaries characters, and it's sort of more than just a redesign. It's kind of like an AU because I am changing some like plot details, but that's more just for fun. I love the Vampire Diaries, and like honestly there are things I would change, but I'm completely fine with how it is. But I just thought it'd be fun to like, you know, with my redesigns kind of just add my own flair to the characters, because I also have read some of the books, and I do think the show is better, but there are aspects of the books that I definitely have taken into account with my AU, and it's kind of like a merging of the two worlds. So it's like its own thing, but it's also heavily inspired by both the TV show and the books. So definitely this video I'm going to focus on the redesigns more. I don't think I'm going to be diving much into the plot. Maybe if I do another video with more characters, I might. I'm honestly trying to see if I want to like make animatics about it again, because I did have a separate channel where I made some animatics about first the book and then my own AU. Like I think I had like only one animatic about like my AU, but I definitely do want to talk about like the changes of the lore that I made, but I don't know how well that's gonna fit into the video, so I'm just gonna focus on the characters and just, I guess, my thoughts on them, like as a whole, and then some aspects that I changed. Okay, last thing before we get into the video, I do want to make two tiny disclaimers. First off, this is like a redesign video, and I know that people aren't too keen on having like their favorite characters reimagined from someone else's lens, but we're all gonna be civil here, and if you don't like something about my design, you're free to say that, but you know, be respectful and be cordial, especially if people are like talking in the comments about the designs or just about the characters in general. I don't want any like wars going on. You know, this is all just for fun. Everything is for fun at the end of the day. If you're here, you either like art or you like the Vampire Diaries or you like both, and we're all here to have fun. So yeah, just be nice to everyone. And then the second thing is, obviously this is my first video that I'm recording like this. Like I've never done this before, so it's gonna be a little wonky and a little awkward at times, but you know, it's a learning curve, and we're gonna push through it together. Hopefully I'm saying this and like people actually see this video. It'd be funny if like nobody sees this video and I'm just talking to the void. But yeah, so when I'm doing like these redesign videos, if my like persona like changes like art style or like whatever, I'm just like experimenting with things and like experimenting with editing. So yeah, we'll grow as we go.
What?
I didn't like how I said that. We'll grow as we go. We'll learn as we go. So yeah. And without any further ado, let's get into these redesigns. Alright, for our first redesign, we have our main character, Elena Gilbert. I think the order of operations here is going to be, I'm going to talk about like overall the character in the show, how I feel about them, and then my design, my redesign of them and why I chose certain design elements, and then lastly I'll just do like a brief overview into my AU on these characters, because I feel like I might want to do like a plot section or maybe a plot video separately instead of here. So first of all, like, my thoughts on Elena. I actually like Elena a lot. She's a very compelling character. Well, she at times is a very compelling character to me. And I say this because I think Elena as a character, she had good bones, and her character writing in the beginning was set up for everything to be pretty great with her character. Like, she had a great backstory when it comes to like her parents and her grief and everything, and how that affected her relationships with all her friends, and especially her brother, and then especially going into a relationship with Stefan, why she latched on to Stefan so much because of his immortality and how he won't be able to leave her through death, at least. So yeah, I definitely think that she had like a good start for her character, but over time, I think that the writers didn't know exactly what they wanted to do with her, especially when she became a vampire. I do think that like the whole cure narrative wasn't as compelling as I wanted it to be, at least, because it just felt like a cop out. Like, she just became a vampire, and then like we're automatically going to find a cure. And I know she didn't get it like right away. She spent like a whole nother season being a vampire, but it just didn't feel great to watch, at least for me, because shortly after that she became human again, and then got put under a sleeping spell and was MIA for the rest of the series up until the very end. So it was just a bit unsatisfying, at least for me. But yeah, that's my whole thing with Elena's character. There are other aspects that I like. Obviously, I do like how they tried to give her a like medical school route. I think that's a very good like natural progression for a character, being a healer instead of like fully embracing being a vampire, because I still think like her embracing her vampirism was nice, but seeing her going into the route of like still trying to help people even without just using her blood, just knowing how to help people like medically as a professional, that was definitely nice and very much in line for what I see Elena doing as a character. Now, when it comes to my actual like redesign of Elena, I think this was one of the easier ones to do, because Elena has a very distinct style and aesthetic. It's kind of that like early 2000s or 2010s fall girl aesthetic, and it's very iconic for Elena, and there's like no reason to change it. I think it works perfectly, even with the major change I do to her character design, which is changing her brown hair to blonde hair that she has in the books. I only do this because I'm really captivated by her character in the books, and it definitely shows in my AU, which I think I'm gonna like talk about separately, actually, because I'll get into just like an overview. I'm definitely taking in like the mean girl turned into like the hero type of trope with Elena in this, instead of like, I guess, giving it to Caroline in a way. I don't think Caroline even embodied that in the show too much. She was just kind of insecure. She wasn't really a mean girl like Elena was in the books. Lastly, I changed Elena's character language. I wanted her to appear more confident, sort of like Catherine, and that is on purpose because it kind of coincides with the changes of my AU, which I'll definitely get into later, probably in Catherine's turn. And this is my redesign of Elena Gilbert. Next, we're gonna go on to her first boyfriend. Okay, so technically Matt is her first boyfriend, but Stefan's like the only one who really matters, so that's what we're gonna do next. We have Stefan Salvatore. He is, I guess the face of the Vampire Diaries, because I used to think Elena was the main character. I still think Elena's the main character, but like people say that Stefan's the main character because it's like about his diary. Like he is like the vampire who has the diary. So I don't know, because Elena also has the diary and she does become a vampire. Anyways, yeah, Stefan, honestly don't have much to say about his character. I didn't particularly gravitate towards him when watching the show. Like, I liked him, but he never really did much for me. And I think it's because, at least in my opinion, he didn't do much of anything after a while. Like, he had a really nice season with Klaus, Ripper Stefan, all that. But after that, I just don't feel like Stefan was that compelling of a character. Like, he's cool. It's just, that's pretty much it. I really don't have much to say about him. And I'm not even, like, a Stefan hater. I just don't have much to say about him. Yeah, so when it comes to his design, I changed a lot of things. Because, honestly, okay, the men of TVD, it was really hard to draw them. Because when it comes to their style, they don't really have a distinct style. Like, I don't know, I was looking at the TVD characters, like the men, and they all kind of wear just t-shirts, jeans, and a leather jacket, usually. So it was hard coming up for a distinct style for all of them so that they all look unique. But Stefan, I decided on, I forgot exactly what it's called, but it's like an old, like, not really old, but kind of vintage Americana aesthetic, and I just feel like that would fit Stefan, honestly. I mean, he just kind of blends and meshes well with that style. I don't know. Obviously, he would have the leather jacket upon his first appearance, most likely, but I feel like as he settles into the friend group, this is, like, the style that he adopts. He doesn't change much in looks, honestly. In the books, he's basically the same. He just has, like, darker hair and curly hair, kind of. It's not, like, curly, I don't think, but it's not as, like, straight as in the show. So I definitely adopted that, and I got his green eyes. I don't remember if he has green eyes in the show. I'm not sure. But in the books, he definitely does. So, yeah. And lastly, without, like, diving too much into the actual, like, plot of my AU, Stefan does have one big change, and that is that he's not a Ripper. I don't exactly have anything against Ripper Stefan. It's just more, I don't feel like he needs to be a Ripper in mine. I think the whole internal battle of him, like, wanting to cling on to his humanity is enough, with, like, the whole, like, not feeding from humans and drinking animal blood. I think that's enough without having to go the extra mile of having him be, like, a blood alcoholic who can't control himself. I just don't need it. For me personally, I didn't need it. It was fun in the show, but, I mean, after a certain point, it just got annoying, I guess, to me. Also, instead of focusing on Stefan's romantic relationships, a lot of the focus is going to be on his friendships and how deep of a, like, platonic bond he forms with Bonnie and Matt specifically, which is a big character change. Another aspect of his character is his, I guess, battle or internal struggle with religion. That's, like, a little thing that him and Damon, they grew up religious, and vampirism is a big obstacle in that. And there's redesigned Stefan Salvatore. Okay, now on to my favorite character, Bonnie Bennett. So much to say about Bonnie Bennett, but to keep this in the time frame, she's my favorite character. I love Bonnie Bennett. I don't like how she was... It's funny, I love her character, but I don't like how she was written in the slightest. I think her character, with especially, like, being a witch, the witches are the strongest beings, sort of, in the Vampire Diaries. They're up there, at least, because, you know, it gets a little complicated when you bring in legacies, but, you know, nobody wants to talk about legacies, so we're just gonna end that there. But when it comes to three main species, witches, vampires, and werewolves, witches are definitely, like, the strongest. They have the most potential. And Bonnie in the show is a very powerful witch. She's the main witch in the Mystic Falls group, and obviously that means she has a lot of power. But the way she's written in the show, sometimes she has power and sometimes she is the weakest of the group, and that's very frustrating. So definitely a big part of my rewrite is that Bonnie has a gradual like scale of power. She starts off not exactly weak, but very inexperienced. She has innate power, but she's inexperienced, and a lot of her character is learning about magic, and not an emphasis on raw power and just like being a fighter, but learning how to do workarounds and all the loopholes that they love using in the Vampire Diaries. As for her design, I didn't want to change much about Bonnie. I actually like the outfits that she's put in the beginning of the show. I think that she had a very nice, like, earthy witch aesthetic. And that's kind of what I was going for in my redesign. I wanted to give her, like, a loose, flowy, just kind of whimsical, earthy vibe. I didn't really take anything from the books, honestly, because Bonnie in the books, I don't really like her. And granted, I got through the first 4 books, but, like, I barely read the 4th one. Like, I read it, but, like, I barely took in any of it. And then the other books, I don't think are necessarily canon, for real. Like, they are, but they aren't, if that makes sense. I don't know if that does. But anyways, like, Bonnie is basically just Bonnie from the show, just if the writers had some sense. I also put some little Easter eggs in there that are like little nods to the show and like little plot points that she had. Her grimoire, which I don't actually know if it's her Grams's grimoire that was like passed down, because I remember there was a scene where it was referred to as Bonnie's grimoire, so I don't know. But either way, it's hers. And then the little amulet she's holding, it's the Hellstone, which has like the souls of like vampires in it because of a hunter. So yeah, that's cool. I liked putting a lot of details on Bonnie and like really just leaning into like the witch aesthetic. I do wish that like I did more details, but honestly it's kind of hard to do a bunch of like detailed like rings and necklaces and jewelry and stuff that I think Bonnie would have with like my art style right now, because especially with like the line art, I definitely could have done it with like this kind of painterly style that I have on the right. If I ever do a rendered version of these, then maybe, but just know that she would have like way more accessories. She would have like a lot of gemstones, jewelry, and all that, and not like fancy jewelry. It's like very earthy. And I guess like the last thing that I'll go over really quickly is that Bonnie in my AU, instead of being like she is well-rounded. She's well-rounded in all magic, but her emphasis is on expression actually, because in the show I thought that this was the route that they were going to take, like have this very mysterious and frowned upon like way of practicing magic, and have Bonnie be the one to master it. But then they kind of just threw away expression because of how strong it was. So definitely in mine, Bonnie is going to be like the first, I guess, new gen witch to like master expression and be an expression witch and use it for good and give it like a more, I guess, give it a good name instead of like the one that it's had like forever, because expression is deemed as bad because it's so powerful, but like Bonnie is the example of great power being put into the right hands. And that concludes my redesign for Bonnie. Next we have another one of my favorites, and also a fan favorite, Caroline. And I'm just gonna say right now, Caroline is the person I changed the most. I really like book Caroline because I love like mean girl characters. I hate them because they're fucking annoying, but I also love them. Like there's just something about like a Regina or like a Heather type character. And I would say Caroline definitely like leans into that fully in my rewrite. Like she is very insecure, and that's like the root of her cruelty, but it's like pushed to a 10, whereas in the show it was seen as more of a sympathetic factor, and like you felt really bad for Caroline, even though like she was annoying, but like you mainly felt bad for her. But in my version, like Caroline is a person who needs a redemption arc, and that's when she becomes a vampire. It's like similar to the show, like first season she's human, then second season she would become a vampire, but I think it would take a little bit longer for her to get that redemption because of how much meaner her character is, especially to Elena. So when it came to like the actual redesign, I took a lot of elements from the book, obviously her tanner skin and her red hair. I just think it offers more like diversity in the character designs, because I already made Elena blonde. If I did stick with Elena being a brunette, then I think I maybe would have kept Caroline as blonde, but I don't know. I think the red hair Caroline really works, especially because I haven't colored it yet, but as you can see, like I did the eyeliner that she had, the emo eyeliner that she had for one episode. That's my favorite look for Caroline. I adore her like grunge era for one day after turning into a vampire. And I think like I just feel like that's such a Caroline thing to do. Like you get killed in the hospital and you become a vampire, and the first thing you do is like throw on some dark makeup and just like look extra emo in your house. Like that's so Caroline. And that's gonna be her character now in here. Like she is the grunge girly of the group. I know I said that like there was gonna be like an order of operations here, but like I've just been all over the place with these like character dumps, and oh well, like I'm having fun like this. So when it comes to Caroline in the show, I love Caroline. I think that she is like one of the realest characters and just one of the best ones. Like she does have her moments, but honestly, I don't have many criticisms for her. I think she has some lackluster romances, and honestly, she should have just stayed with Tyler. I'm not one of the people who ship her and Klaus, honestly. I do think they have tension together, but I don't really ship her and Klaus. So that's definitely not a thing in my rewrite. And like, no, not spoiling it, because I will go into Klaus, but Klaus is very different anyways, so it just wouldn't happen. But Caroline does stay a vampire. I know in the books she becomes like a werewolf plus something else, I think. It's strange. I didn't even get to that. I don't think I ever will, but Caroline stays a vampire. It's the exact same way, honestly. Like the same thing with Catherine happens, but I definitely lean more into the like horror aspect of Catherine toying with Caroline. So there's that. And with that, I have redesigned Caroline Forbes. Last but not least, we have my redesign of Damon Salvatore. While personally not my favorite character in the series, I can see why people like are drawn to him. He's charismatic, and you know, he brings that flair to the series that other characters don't necessarily have, and he also brings like the brutality because he's the bad brother in terms of like Damon and Stefan, their dynamics in the show. He's definitely like the one who's seen as worse, even though they kind of do the same things. And I think it can be argued that Stefan has done worse, but I don't know, because you can argue that it isn't really, like, he can't control it, but still. It's still, like, what's done is done. But either way, Damon's a very beloved character, and I didn't want to change him too much. I think I leaned more towards... Honestly, I think I leaned more towards the show, because at first I went with more like a book design of Damon, and funny enough, just like Stefan, he's not very different in the book in terms of like his looks. Only thing is, I think he just has like dark eyes instead of blue eyes. Like he does in the show. So the only thing I really changed was his blue eyes, and everything else is pretty much the same. He still has his dark hair. He's still, he's still wearing like the leather jacket that Damon would wear. For me, I feel like if there had to be any character that, keeps that like classic leather jacket and just shirt and jeans attire, it would be Damon. It fits well with him. He's pretty simple. Like, not as a character, like he's not like a simple character, but like, I don't think he would like settle into like an aesthetic per se. I guess that is an aesthetic, but I don't think he would have one that like ventures too far out, like with Stefan, where it's like a vintage Americana. Another thing that I decided to showcase visually is like a resemblance between the two brothers, and obviously it's because like two different actors. You can't really, if they don't look like each other, then they don't look like each other. That's just the end of it. So I definitely had more creative freedom to make Stefan and Damon look more alike. So that was fun, like making them really look like siblings and having a sort of character theme to follow with the both of them. When it comes to any changes that I did like in his character writing, I haven't actually planned out much of what Damon's would be. I don't think it would be different, honestly. There's not anything that I can think of that's like drastically changed. Honestly, I think Damon's a pretty solid character, and his role in the story, even though I do think his pattern of like hurting people when he's hurt and then being forgiven by Elena, even though I think that's kind of overdone and it gets boring after a while, I think it works, and they do still get together in my AU, but I will say Elena isn't in game. Like, she doesn't stay with Damon. But yeah, I'll get into that later, the dynamics of like the love triangle and like what exactly happens with those relationships. Because Damon, yeah, he's not destined for Elena, and I'm still figuring out who exactly he should be paired up with, because it is there. On one hand, I do like the whole like Bonnie and Damon thing, but I don't see them having the same type of relationship that they did in the show. Honestly, like with Damon, he has like most of the same type of character relationships, but I think I've made him a little less cruel and creepy, honestly, because I did take out like the Caroline thing that he did with her. But other than that, Damon's kind of the same. And there's my redesign of Damon Salvatore. Whew, okay, so that was my redesigns of the TVD characters, at least the main characters. There was one main character that I added that I couldn't put in this video because of time constraints, but hopefully I will make a part 2 of this video soon, because I do want to go over the antagonists, some side characters, and obviously the plot line more in detail. But I do have other ideas for other content I want to make regarding like other shows and just other types of media that I want to play around with and make some drawings for, so stick around and stay tuned for that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and hopefully I'll be back soon with probably some more animatics, but hopefully another video like this where I can talk to you guys and show you guys my drawings. Alright, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!